footage of his wife and 4 small children receiving the flag from his casket. His obituary notes that he lived sacrificially for his family. Outside of their hometowns, though, the deaths received hardly any notice from a public whose interest in the global war on terror had vanished years before. That indifference had become emblematic of the wars the 2 men fought in, as was the nature of their deaths, which didn't come while raiding a compound or hitting an improvised explosive device, but when an American-trained Afghan soldier turned his American-supplied machine gun on American backs. A final irony was their mission at the time, a key leader engagement in Nangarhar province. Yet another attempt, 20 years into the war, to win allies among the locals. How to speak meaningfully of a conflict that has lasted so long and at such a low ebb that most Americans can pretend it isn't happening. No one cares if Americans aren't being killed, the journalist Jonah Goldberg recently argued, nor should they care if Americans aren't being killed. As far as public opinion goes, he's largely right. And yet, whether or not war still captures the attention of the public, it still captures the attention of the Defense Department, which continues long-running and extremely lethal campaigns in various theaters of conflict. We may not be losing as many soldiers as we used to, since our role in wars has shifted to one of training, support, and the provision of air power and high-tech know-how, but we're certainly killing plenty of people. Nor are the dead and injured just members of terrorist groups. In 2020, so blissfully low in U.S. casualties in Afghanistan, the UN has tracked 120 civilian casualties that can be directly tied to international security forces. This somewhat understates our lethal presence in the region. The U.S. trained and supplied Afghan Air Force caused a further 693 civilian casualties, while the Afghan security forces as a whole caused 1,906. When they died, Afghanistan was a deadlier place for civilians than when Gutierrez and Rodriguez were graduating high school. And though we have removed our ground troops, our lethal presence remains in the skies above. In the same speech where President Biden claimed to have ended 20 years of war, he announced, "We will maintain the fight against terrorism in Afghanistan and other countries." By relying on over-the-horizon capabilities instead of ground troops, the war was over, supposedly, but not the killing. What this means in practice is not simply children losing parents who lived sacrificially for their families, but also, since Afghanistan is one of the deadliest places in the world to be a child, parents losing children. The most recent UN report on civilian casualties in Afghanistan quotes the father of a boy killed in September 2020 by an explosive remnant of war, a bomb fragment left behind by one side or the other. He remembers hearing children screaming, "Please help us," then seeing his son and 4 others all grievously wounded. "I took my son," he said. There was blood all over his body. Stomach, heart, and lungs had all been pierced, wounds that meant death within minutes. The father took water and tried to clean the injuries. "When he died," the man said, "he was looking toward me, straight into my eyes, but unable to speak." So yes, even though in America we're swaddled from the consequences, we're still at war. Wherever we're regularly killing, we're at war. Which leads to the increasingly complex question of where we're killing people. Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Somalia, Pakistan, and Libya. For those places, the answer is certainly yes. Brian Kastner, a former explosive ordnance disposal tech, now at Amnesty International, tells me, "I can give you strike by strike in Somalia because the military at least acknowledges those strikes." But then there are other countries he describes as a true black box, like Niger, Mali, and Nigeria. "We know when U.S. soldiers die in Niger," he says. "We don't know when the U.S. kills people in Niger." Talking about American wars, then, increasingly becomes like talking about Schrodinger's cat. Outside the closed black boxes of our military involvement overseas, the American public remains blissfully at peace until an American dies, and it turns out we were at war all along. No wonder we've turned inward, especially when images of conflict can strike much closer to home.